On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area and Spokane City Cable 5, welcome to our 2019 primary election candidate forum featuring these candidates for Spokane City Council, District 3, Position 1. I'm Ann Murphy, your moderator, and Sally Phillips of the League is our timer. Election day for the 2019 primary is Tuesday, August 6, 2019. This is a top 2 primary in which the 2 highest vote getters from among these candidates will advance to the general election in November. In this forum, the candidates will have an opportunity to present themselves to you, the voters, and you voters will have an opportunity to learn more about each candidate, helping all of you make an informed decision when marking your ballot. The questions I will be asking the candidates have been formulated by the League's Voter Service Committee. Candidates are seated in alphabetical order, and the first speaker will rotate with each question. Candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer the initial question and up to 90 seconds to answer subsequent questions, with additional time for rebuttal or follow-up question as appropriate. Each candidate will have the opportunity for a 1-minute closing statement. I will ask as many questions as time allows. Our timer will hold up a yellow card that says 15 seconds remaining to allow you to finish up your thought, and then a red card to indicate that your time is up. Now, before we proceed, a reminder about voting in the primary. You must be registered to vote. You can register online by July 29th, 2019. That's up to 8 days prior to Election Day. Any mail-in or paper forms must be received in the elections office by July 29th. And new this year is same-day voter registration. During the 8 days prior to Election Day, there will be 2 places where you may register in person at the Spokane County Elections Office, 1033 West Gardner Avenue, or Center Place, 2426 North Discovery Place, Spokane Valley. Hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4 p.m., and then 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. When you register, you will be provided a ballot for voting. Other voter registration changes this summer are the automatic voter registration process, where eligible citizens will be registered when they interact with state agencies. And we will now have pre-registration for 16, 17-year-olds so that they are already pre-registered and then will be registered when they turn 18. Registered voters will receive their mail-in ballots about 3 weeks prior to Election Day. Ballots must be postmarked or deposited in conveniently located ballot boxes no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day, August 6, 2019. Ballots can be dropped off on Election Day at one of the voter service centers. For locations of ballot boxes or voter service centers, or more information about accessible voting units or other questions about casting your ballot, contact the Spokane County Elections Office at spokanecounty.org/elections. Contact information for the candidates as well as voters' guides can be found on that Spokane County Elections website. Additional information about the candidates can also be found on the League of Women Voters online voter guide, vote411.org. And now we will meet these candidates for the Spokane City Council District 3, Position 1. This is a nonpartisan race, and only the voters in the City of Spokane Council District number 3 will select 2 of these candidates to advance to the general election. That district is generally the northwest portion of the city, generally north of I-90 and west of Division. Joining us today are Jeff Martin, Andy Rathman, Jeff Rugen, Christopher Savage, Ken Side, and Karen Stratton. Candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer our first question, and we will begin with Mr. Martin. Why are you running for City Council, and what makes you the best candidate?
Well, I came to that decision basically because I've lived here in Spokane for about 25 years and kind of was asking myself, what's happened these last couple years? What direction are we going? Are we attracting more businesses to downtown? Is the homeless problem a serious problem enough to start taking some action on it. So I decided to run because I believe that I could, my leadership and my direction and my experience could lead this city council or part of it to a new direction. I also have worked for the state for 18 years. I never really realized it. I didn't go look for public service. Kind of public service found me. I have a heart of a servant, and that's the way I plan to represent my district, is to listen to my voters and represent them as they should be represented. And I'm looking forward for this great opportunity to show my leadership skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rathbun.
Hi, I'm Andy Rathbun, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to meet me. It's because of women like you that this year we are absolutely celebrating the 100th anniversary of the signing of the 19th Amendment, and today women vote more than men. Now, we all bring unique skills and life experiences to the ballot. I'm running because my wife and I raised 3 daughters, and they all each have children of their own. And I want Spokane to be the safest and most inspiring city in America for them. During my military career of over 30 years, I was based at Fairchild the entire time. I had the opportunity to travel all over the world and all over the United States, but I was always very firmly grounded here in Spokane. I've very much invested and involved in the community. I believe my experiences bring a balance to the table of City Council. And being retired now, I'm ready to serve as elected official representing the northwest neighborhoods of Spokane.
Thank you. We'll go to Mr. Rugen next.
Sure, thank you. Being born and raised in Spokane, decided to run for City Council to make a difference. Past several years, I get the opportunity, or I've had the opportunity to help thousands of Spokane residents find work. I'd like to take that passion to the city level, where I can help address their issues and work through for my neighbors concerning addressing their concerns. So I feel I'm the best candidate for this position. I'm eager, I'm ambitious, I like to get things done. I feel these traits, along with my passion for our city and its future, make me a great candidate.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Savage.
The reason why I'm running is, well, I've lived here for about 25 years now, and I've seen the city change in many ways, good and bad. And currently, with going to all the meetings and all the stuff through all the neighborhood councils, there's a lot of information that's being thrown out there that seems to be really concerning about where our city may be going. And I feel like we're at a crossroads right now, that we have one path going down, a path of prosperity for Spokane, or we have another path that could make Spokane a shadow of its former self. So I believe that's the reason why I'm running, and I'm just concerned for the city.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Side.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ken Side. I've born and raised here in Spokane. The military service too, just like this gentleman. I'm impressed. And so I've seen the world also too, but I've also been a city police detective and a county sheriff, Ponderosa County Sheriff's detective, certified to be a judge, a lay judge level. That's the lowest level. But, and then I'm a very strong advocate of law and order and Christian beliefs, okay? I've been here through 3 sessions now since the first 2, and I haven't really heard anybody say anything about a spiritual aspect of trying to address some of our problems. Not only are we all going to pass away at some time, and I believe, and not everybody believes this, but I think there's going to be an accounting, and these people that are hard up downtown, people are running into difficulties, crises that we all have. A spiritual good foundation with the Lord God Almighty is very, very valuable. There's where you can find the peace and the direction.
Okay, thank you, your side. Time is up, Mr. Side. Ms. Stratton.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum, and welcome to all of my opponents. I'm Karen Stratton. I was born and raised here in Spokane, and I think I have a unique historical perspective based on my years of activity in the community. I spent many years campaigning and supporting my father, Al Stratton, and my mother, Lois Stratton, who were big community leaders during their time, and they served the city and the state for many, many years. I learned from them the importance of community and citizen involvement, and they instilled at me in a very, very early age that you needed to step up and serve your community and be a leader in whatever your passion was. I have, in my professional life before City Council, I worked at WSU, I've worked for the community colleges. I came to the City of Spokane in 2005, worked for Jim West and Mary Werner. I was a city employee, and we'll talk more about that later.
Oh, you've got good peripheral. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into our questions, and we will do 90 seconds on your answers here. So you're running for, in a district, you represent those people. What do you think are the most important issues in your district, and how would you like to address those? And we'll start with Mr. Rathman.
Yes, the most important priorities and concerns of the district, I believe, are first of all public safety, and then infrastructure of the city and economic development. Public safety, from everything from property crimes, car thefts, to just the feeling, the information I get as I'm doorbelling, just the general feeling of not being safe to go downtown. We need to continue to address these problems and come up with solutions. We've spent too much money, especially in our downtown, developing it, and we have thriving businesses that are suffering right now, and we've got to take care of the public safety issues and perceptions. Then of course, we have to fix all our roads and bridges, infrastructure, but then additionally, we need to get industry to come here. Spokane has always been known as a brain drain. We lose some of our brightest and most talented children to other regions for going for jobs, and we need to get Fortune 500 companies to come here and promote it and get more industry jobs, and all of this would be a rising tide to float everybody in Spokane to a higher level.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go to Mr. Rugen.
Thank you. I'm going to stand back because I tend to give feedback, apparently. I think specifically in our district, I've identified by a lot of doorbelling, folks are fed up with the roads in our district. Extending sidewalks is another issue I've heard an awful lot about. And of course, public safety. So those, if elected into this position, are topics I tend to address heavily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have more?
Nope, that's
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Mr. Savage.
The important issues for me that I would think that the district needs to focus on is, one is the infrastructure and roads. There's a lot of potholes, there's a lot of construction that's happening that a lot of people are very confused about what's going on. Like currently right now up on the 5 Mile Prairie, there's a huge roundabout that's going up there, and it's causing a lot of traffic congestion going around the other area, because Indian Trail that was just done recently just was also adding to that, but the way how it's been reoriented is actually making things worse for the area. People are actually speeding up, there's a lot more congestion, there's a lot more cops out there, and so I feel like if there's a way to focus on the infrastructure of roads with that way, we can help the focus on helping, you know, the citizens with getting to work and not having to worry about that. The second one would be the homelessness issue. There's a lot of that happening around in the city core right now, and I believe that the city needs to focus on that with better issues rather than what has been going on in the past. And the third thing would probably be attendance. There's a lot of council members that aren't going to meetings that they should be, and I don't know what other job that you get paid 100% of the time to go to 100% to go do 50% of your job.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Side.
Well, basically, I think that the District 3 is not too bad. Actually, Spokane's not too bad. Thank you, Karen. Obviously, everybody on this panel here is going to agree on some of the same things that are said from the other two sessions also. You know, infrastructure, roads. I would like to say that we have too much vagrancy, too much homelessness, too much drugs, which would be universal, issues that we'll address later. But all in all, it's not too bad. We got to be more prepared, perhaps, for what the influx is coming in the future. Spokane's a very beautiful, nice place to live. Everybody would agree to that. But these people in California and Seattle, and they're getting tired of that, and they're going to come. And that's going to raise a lot more issues for our district as well as the others. So what would I do about it other than just be aware of what's coming down the tube? Everything I've ever done in my life, I've been above average on, and I can guarantee that I would do that also. But we're all vying for this position, and Karen is already in it. And one thing I noticed was that, I noticed that the people that are already in council really know a lot. They've been there, they've done that. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Side. Ms. Stratton?
So I will start off by saying when I spend time in the district, and I do attend as many neighborhood meetings as I possibly can, what I hear, and this is kind of an overall view of this, is people want their garbage picked up, they want their roads plowed, they want their streets passable, they want their alleys passable, they don't want to get tickets when they park in front of their house for over 24 hours at a time. So you really get into the basic concerns of residents when you spend time in the neighborhoods. I will tell you, out of that mix and that need that residents want and they deserve for the basic services, we do have problems with the residential streets. We are working on a plan to pave more residential streets. We've been working to grade and gravel alleys. Probably the worst alleys in the city of Spokane are in West Central. We're working on a plan to take care of those. Sidewalks are another issue. Working with the AGC, we're talking about maybe having some of the construction trade folks come out and start to look at fixing some sidewalks, because the sidewalk in front of your house is your responsibility. You have to repair it, and some people can't afford to do it. It's very expensive. Homelessness is a big issue. People are afraid to be in their parks. Public safety is another one, and we will get into more of that later.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Yes, so the things I hear when I'm talking with people, I live up in North Indian Trail. It's funny, the first thing that they bring up is traffic, Indian Trail Road. We've had some good things happen just recently. I do like the idea of 2 lanes going in, 1 lane going out. However, from my research, it's found out that there were certain agreements that were done years ago with certain developers that they were going to expand that and make it 2 lanes going each way. So I think that gets back to accountability. In addition to the traffic, you're right, potholes and our roads have always been a topic. All the years I've been here, it always seems like the big issue. Finally, we got something else to talk about, homelessness. So clearly, when this took the first step above as being the biggest issue that I keep hearing, is a problem. And it's turned into the point where I'm concerned for going downtown. And when I go downtown and I'm sitting at Starbucks and I'm enjoying my birthday latte, and I see someone in front of me, my wife and my 8-year-old, have a mental breakdown, I'm not thinking about treatment. I'm not thinking about, oh, what can I do to help this person? I'm thinking about the safety of my child. And I think there's a lot of people with concerns over that too, which then tails into the third point, public safety. I am a law and order candidate. I will believe in enforcing the laws and working to help others. But I think that's come to the point where we need to start looking at enforcing our laws.
Okay, thank you. So since homelessness came up quite a bit, let's explore it a little bit more, because it does seem to go beyond your district and be part of the city. Last winter, our city struggled to cope with and balance the needs of people who are homeless and the needs of business owners and the needs of other residents. What are the, you could be more specific about the challenges within your district for homelessness, as well as talking about it as a citywide issue. What immediate and long-term solutions would you propose? And we'll have 90 seconds for this one. And we will start with Mr. Rathman, I believe. Where's my list? Rugen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry,
Don't apologize.
too many papers here.
Well, I think homelessness is, for our district, it's not as bad in my personal opinion. I do see folks walking in neighborhoods in District 3 who appear to be homeless, but I think it is more of a citywide issue. And I think that we really need to peel back the layers and identify the different groups, or I guess maybe separate the different groups. Those who choose to be homeless, those who are just passing through our city, and those who are homeless due to unforeseen circumstances, unfortunate circumstances. And I think that those are the folks we really need to prioritize in helping. We're a very compassionate city, and we just need to dive in full force and again help those who have no control, whether it be drug abuse or addiction or mental illness. Again, just an unforeseen situation. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Savage.
To address the homelessness problem, I would probably, I would be behind Union Gospel Mission kind of policies where I've been to City Council since January, every meeting, every Monday, and there was one meeting where it just struck with me where there was two individuals who came up and said they were living, next to a trash can, they were alcoholics, they were doing this stuff, and fortunately with some guidance and some structure, they were able to rebuild their lives and enter society again. And I feel that I think we should go into that kind of way, because if we give people what they want when they're kind of in their worst way, I don't know if they know the right way to go out of that situation. I feel there's people that are in better positions that can help them out, because especially with myself, my father, that's why I'm kind of behind this, is one of the reasons why I'm up here now, is with my chronic illness, if he hadn't have done the things that he had done, I wouldn't have tried to do better and tried to get past that pain and that suffering, because it is something that's there, but we need help with it. So I would be behind policies such as that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Side.
Yeah, thank you. Good answers, you guys. I'm sure you're going to have a good one, too. But homelessness is a problem that every major city has, and maybe even some of the smaller ones. And how we're going to address that is, what's the root of all these problems? You guys categorize 3 different categories of people that are homeless. And it's, I think the city, you might be able to shed some light on this, Karen, regarding this 24-hour, 7 days a week type of shelters that hasn't really passed yet. And Catholic Charities apparently is kind of reducing some of their opportunities. When wintertime comes, it's going to be terrible. But you can't really give people something for nothing either, okay? They feel better about themselves if you actually make them do something for it. So maybe we can address some of those type of issues. You got to try to, of course, I come from a spiritual perspective now. I know God and state, you don't want to mix them and stuff, but our country was founded with that, and in our dollar bill, you got "In God We Trust." So the city jail, I was just an article where you're getting people baptized, in spirit. Now, you want to change somebody, you get them close to the Lord, and there's a much better chance that they're going to succeed in this. I feel sorry for them. The ones that are drug addicted, okay, that's tough. You got to solve the drug problem, and we all know how to do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Side. Ms. Stratton.
So we all agree that it's a really, really complicated issue, and we've seen the camps. We've seen very, very sad situations in our neighborhoods, our parks, downtown. What I would like to see is finally somebody stand up from the city and admit to this community that we cannot solve the homelessness issue alone. The city of Spokane can't fix it. We need other partners, and by other partners, we need to start talking to our hospitals, our universities. And the reason I say this is we are talking about a facility that would be a 24/7 shelter. What we could do with that is not only emergency shelter for those who need it. We could have in that shelter, we could have training programs. We could have a dental clinic. We could have a medical clinic. We could work with the universities that we have in our own backyard to provide services via students. Work study, those that are getting PhDs need the experience. There's so much we can do and also provide. It's not, when we talk about a homeless, when they were talking about making the lobby in the City Hall a place for homeless to sit, I don't think it was fair to those people to say you could come in and sit. What are you going to do all day? We have to have something that provides a service or resources for those that need to, that hand up to get moving, and we need to track those successes, period.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Yes, well, you mentioned about laws, and after I had said I was going to be a law and order candidate, that decision that happened in Boise needs to be enforced. And what happened this winter? Nonprofits, churches, and other organizations stepped up and opened their doors. And we were able to house those people. Okay, so what I look at as a solution to the homeless crisis is we have to enforce those laws that were on the books that takes care of the people, but we also need to stop the shooting up of drugs in front of City Hall, which was filmed during one of the 10 city protests. Now, homelessness issue is very diverse, multifaceted, ever-changing. What I see that we need to do is we need to look at the people. Speaking for myself and my own experience, I was homeless myself in 1996. I lived up in the Chewelah campground. They allowed me to stay there for 4 days for free. Then I went in, rented a campsite, took a shower, and went back. I was making $50 a day, about $150, $200 a week. I think I could speak pretty fair to this, that when I was there, it was kind of by choice, but when other things kind of come into play, your choices are gone. I really didn't have much choice. What I needed was to find a faith that I believed in a power greater than myself that could help me become the person I wanted to be. And I became that person. I was given a hand up. I was not given a handout. I think our city right now, we have plenty of that. We have clothes, we have food, we have everything. What we need to now do is work on those that are breaking the law and take care of them first, which can sober some people up.
Thank you. Your time is up. Mr. Rathbun?
I believe one of the biggest mistakes we're making right now is allowing all the conversations on homelessness to get too political. These people are daughters, sons, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, and I don't believe they should be a political football to fight over. As a veteran, I know that head injuries, PTSD, and of course substance abuse make it very difficult for some to readapt to civilian life. And as a community member, an active community member, I also know there are some who, for whatever reason, are on the streets and they're very angry at our society. In some cases, they turn to criminal behavior and they make us feel very unsafe. Years ago, I was part of a grassroots neighborhood organization that formed Cops West. It was the first community-oriented policing substation, and it became a national role model. Here in Spokane, we have so many entities and agencies, faith-based and nonprofit. I've been going to the Homeless Coalition meetings, and there is so much help out there, and they're doing wonderful things, and they're all going towards the same goal of addressing this problem. But what I'm really excited about is I think we are on the cusp of something here because of all the discussions that have been going on in Spokane. We have healthcare professionals and law enforcement, housing providers, and other professionals working along with all these agencies and entities, and they're working together for this issue. I'm excited that I think I can work with this team, and I think Spokane become a nation where we have a humane and innovative response that can be a
Thank you, Mr.
national role
Rathbun.
model.
Your time is up. All right, we will go to our next question. We've talked about homelessness as an issue in this city, and you've listed how you would manage that and move on there. What are your other priorities for the city beyond your district? What priorities would you have for the city of Spokane? And we start with you, Mr. Savage.
One of my big priorities would be the aquifer and tree ordinance retention. I'm behind stuff like the tree ordinance, but that's one of the reasons why I want to get on, is that it wasn't made in the right way. With what they're trying to do by 2030, it's impossible. I mean, I've been trying to plant trees for the past 6 years of my life now, and each time I plant one, I go back to see how it's growing, and it doesn't grow at the rate at which we want them to. It would be great if they did, but they don't. And especially with certain trees that you are planting, if they're not the right ones, you're actually, this leads on to the aquifer retention, that you're actually sucking more water out. So like, you know, for instance, our I think our city tree is almost the pine ponderosa. It's a needle tree, which is non-deciduous, and that's, you know, it takes better water, or it's better water resistant and drought resistant. But if you put in something like a Franciscus americanus or a deciduous tree, those big trees, the reason why they have those leaves like that is because they can want more water, so they can get more light, so they can break down the sugar and all that stuff and do all these things that would transpire and give us the oxygen that we breathe and all that stuff. So that would be a concern for me.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Side.
Yeah, I think that Spokane, as well as the nation and state, seems to be going a little bit too far to the left. Okay? They're getting to the extreme level as far as I'm concerned. And Spokane used to be, because I was born and raised here, used to be considered a conservative town. I don't think it's that way anymore. And so the far left socialist agenda, I think, is a little bit much. And that's one of the primary reasons I'm running too, is to bring a conservative, a society basically that is not taking the risks that we are, okay? The spirit, I like to hear what you said about your faith base that kind of led you to the proper level, and I think that I'd like to see a little more of that here in Spokane. Okay?
Okay, Ms. Stratton.
Well, as I look at the city of Spokane in the last 4 years, I think we can all agree that we're seeing a great transformation in Riverfront Park, and it's bringing visitors from all over, and I think that will continue to thrive. I do think that we need to focus community-wide on affordable housing. That's been talked about quite a bit today. I'm excited when we look at our centers and corridors and the work we've done on Monroe and Sprague and the Perry District, looking at those affordable options, affordable housing options for people coming into the community. The other thing that I think is exciting is the criminal justice reforms that we're talking about right now in this community. Rather than putting everybody in jail, let's look at those that need mental health services and mental health stabilization. As a community, we can keep people from jail and get services that are necessary for them to lead productive lives and be productive citizens. Again, public safety, we passed our public safety levy. That's going to give us more officers on the street. We'll have 5 more officers downtown. We will have more neighborhood resource officers. In the spirit of the COPS program, we'll have more neighborhood resource officers in our neighborhoods citywide. So I see that there are a lot of great positive things happening and issues that we need to keep working on to keep this community healthy.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Let's talk business. Now, these companies and these businesses that come to Spokane, they're the ones that employ people. They're the ones that give us the tax base. They're the ones that pay their taxes, and they're the ones that help this community prosper. What I want to do and see as a citywide is take the regulations and the red tape out of the way. Currently, I do work for the state of Washington for a regulatory agency, and I do know that it is tough for businesses to operate here in the state of Washington. Why not make Spokane a beacon of light for businesses to come and prosper? We're talking about people coming over from Spokane. Let's start drawing some businesses. Microsoft, you know, there's already companies, Boeing, and some of their subsidiaries that are looking at coming out here. Let's clear that way so they can bring and hire more people. What's the best solution for homeless? It's a job. And I know contractors that are willing and ready to hire people at $18 to $28 an hour, but they can't get people to pass a urine test. That's a problem. If you can't quit drugs or to get a job, you've got some problems that you need to work on. And I want to help those people on those problems because I know that there is a wonderful life out there for those people, but you need a job, you need income, and for that, let's let businesses open up their doors and hire as many as they can. Let's let it prosper, and let's bring in more businesses to downtown Spokane.
Thank you. Mr. Rathbun.
Yeah, first and foremost is going to be public safety is a top priority. And if you think about it, you can almost boil down most issues here concerning the city down to safety. Before I take any vote on city council, I would consider first, how is this making Spokane citizens more safe? And then I absolutely agree, we have a housing crisis, and we need more housing of all types. We need to build up as well as out. We have another squadron moving into Fairchild later this year, and during my entire time at Fairchild, housing stock only went down out on base, not up. And so all these people coming in are going to be on the open economy, and it's going to exacerbate the problem even more. And this housing stock is so small right now that it's difficult for people to either upsize or downsize. So that's why we need all types of housing, but especially affordable housing. And we need to get the city planners and permitters sit down at the table with builders, and we need to find out how we can get the builders to do more affordable housing and make it incentivized for them to do that. And then, as we talked about also, is economic development. And we need to have more jobs to help bring up all levels here in Spokane.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rugen.
Thank you. Public safety is a big one. Downtown Spokane's our mecca. It's a beautiful area, but people don't like to go out at night as much anymore. They want to go in packs with friends to make sure they're safe. I have a 5-year-old son, and I can hold my own, I feel, but I still feel cautious walking in certain areas of downtown with my kiddo, and he has seen stuff, we have seen things that you shouldn't experience, you shouldn't witness as a child. So that's a big one, as well as increasing housing, because we have Amazon bringing in an awful lot of jobs. We have another company talking about moving out to the West Plains, bringing a lot more jobs as well. Where are they all going to live? So I think that's something that we really need to focus on heavily as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move to a different topic area now, and that has to do more as we're part of the globe. Climate disruption is already having direct impacts on the Spokane area. What steps by the city would you support to mitigate these impacts on our community and to reduce the city's contribution to further climate disruption? We'll do 60 seconds on this one. And we will start with Mr. Seid.
Yes, thank you. Well, I think it's already approved regarding the green canopy. I'm excited about that myself. I think we're at, 33% level, but obviously you try to get to the 100%. But we have a CO2 problem, if you believe some of the scientists, in our atmosphere, and the trees are the best way to actually reduce that, besides everybody's personal responsibility. Electric cars, in the Hilliard district, they allow, if they still do, golf carts, okay? Let's quit going everywhere and anywhere with our gasoline engines all the time. I mean, that's the biggest source of this problem. Now, you seem to be pretty experienced about the right type of trees to build, but I also want gardens, basically community gardens too. I'm a prepper somewhat, okay? I got a swimming pool, I got chickens, and I got some rabbits, okay? Okay, I'm
Okay,
done.
thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Stratton.
Thank you. And we're looking at golf cart zones for Kendall Yards and West Central.
Excellent.
Real quickly, I worked in Mayor Werner's office in 2008 when the sustainability plan was finalized. And I have to say that the community leaders and the citizens that participated in that sustainability plan were top-notch professionals and devoted a lot of time to it. City Council was finally able, a few months ago, to pull that sustainability plan out. create a committee to look at that plan, to update it, and to start giving the community and community leaders the top priorities of what we as a community can do. So I'm very excited and I support that. I've also supported the legislation for the urban canopy. I think that was important. And the other thing that the city is doing right now with the utility department, they're visiting homes, and for those residents that want to dig up their front yards and stop using all that water to water grass, and if you want to do other types of plantings and landscaping, you get utility credit. So I think that's pretty remarkable too.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Martin?
I think currently Spokane, the city of Spokane is doing a great job in working towards that from the buses to alternative energy. And I think as a city, they're doing a great job. I think personally, we have to ask ourselves, are we following that mantra of reduce, reuse, and recycle? Are we carpooling? Currently, as a state employee, I have some great benefits, such as bus passes and incentives to ride share, ride my bike, and I get compensated for that. I think we need to incentivize businesses to do that, to give these options to their employees. That's one step. That's the personal side of it. And again, I think the city government can continue to work on finding other alternatives towards, finding solutions to this. Solutions that I don't think are going to work are blocking coal trains. I want to have some more constructive talk about this, but also there are solutions. We just need to find the more prudent ones and the better ones to help.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rathbun?
I believe we absolutely need to address climate change, but I believe the good news about this is there will be lots of jobs created in the fields that we look to work on these problems. I believe it's not just a city problem, it's a regional problem. We need to get together working with the region to solve these. I've always been a firm believer in think globally but act locally approach to this solution or to this problem. And by that I mean we need to get involved, our universities along with businesses and government, and we should be able to, I believe, the next generation, get them very much involved with the education, get them involved, and if we can create jobs in the process, it'll be a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rugen?
Thank you. I agree with what Mr. Martin said. I remember growing up when I was a kid, they were really hammering the reduce, reuse, recycle. It was really cool and people were jazzed about it, and not so much anymore. So I think we would benefit from looking at how we can support residents, voters, everyone in the city to be more mindful about what we're doing with our recyclables, materials we're using for certain tasks or everyday living things like a plastic cup. I think we need to identify those things and go from there.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Savage?
One thing that I really support with the city is the thing that Karen brought up is the Spokane Scapes Plan. It has a huge thing. They do a really good job with telling you where you need to do, what you need to plant, and what's native, so you're not spending too much water on there. One thing that I do find a problem with that I was kind of confused at is, as the woman who came by, and I apologize if I forgot her name, she's the director of this, and when I asked her if this was in conjunction or working with the Spokane Tree Canopy Ordinance, she said no. And I feel like that would be kind of important to kind of combine those kind of things together so that they would be working with one another. And because if you look in here, that's what I brought up with the Pinus ponderosa. It's actually in here with also another stuff that would work with that kind of thing. So you're not just planting any sort of tree just because, trees, you want to plant the right one because this is actually a desert area technically. So we want to put stuff that's not so reliant on water.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one more question before your closing, and we're going to cycle back to an issue that several of you have brought up, and that is, what steps would you support to increase the amount of affordable and accessible housing in your district, especially with regard to infill and zoning decisions? And we'll start with Ms. Stratton.
So one of the things that council did, or one of the pieces of legislation that council passed a few months ago, was how do I want to say this? The surplus land. City has surplus land that we don't use. And so what we passed legislation that allows us to look at that surplus land. If there are departments within the city that can't use it, if we don't see a use for it, we can make that available to nonprofits to provide affordable housing. So I'm very excited about that. We're currently looking at some housing possible alternatives with the Spokane Tribe of Indians and looking at surplus land, so I'm excited about that. I think that we've been very involved, I've been very involved with our CIGHS program to restore zombie and foreclosed homes. There's a lot of homes out there in neighborhoods that we've been able to clean up and flip for first-time home buyers and keep those prices affordable. And I'm proud of the work that our staff has done with that program. I think there, again, is great options with centers and corridors, with the different kinds of options for housing and infill. I think we're going to see some great innovative ideas coming out of that. And I think that we just have to kind of plug along working to make all types of housing available, whether it's high-end or low-end. We have to have a better plan for housing, and we have to have more housing available for people.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Well, I think what we need to look at here, we're going through some growing pains, I think, here in Spokane. And I think we need to look at the urban growth area and our comprehensive plan. So I've been talking to some business owners, some builders, and they're saying that in the next 1 to 2 years, this is going to really be an issue. So I'd look to look at some of that legislature and the ordinances relating to that. I think infill is great. I went to the Emerson Garfield Neighborhood Council, and there are a lot of vacant lots all throughout Spokane, not just along our corridors and our main arterials, but further inland. The problem that the builders are having is, you know, in a neighborhood, middle to low income, you can't go in and build a $250,000 house. So where can we try to build some smaller homes, maybe tiny homes, maybe some manufactured homes that will, be a new housing to build on those lots, but yet not outprice the neighborhood. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to look to those subject matter experts, those owners of those companies that are in the line of work building houses, and ask them what they need. What are they looking for? I think it's going to take a community effort, guys. We're always suffering from that. Not in my backyard. I don't want that gigantic apartment complex there. Well, growing pains. We're going to get there. We're going to have to kind of loosen up our beliefs and enable some of these people to find some lower income housing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rathman.
I absolutely believe we need to bring the home builders to the table and find out what it is that we at the city can do to help them and make it profitable for them to build not just low income, but all sizes of houses, because it is a crisis right now. We don't have enough, and it's a holdover from the Great Recession. All the builders went out of business, all the trades went and did other jobs, and not only we need to build up as well as out, but we need to, we have the workforce here and we have the colleges to train the trades, and it'll be an economic boom for us on top of everything else. But we need to know what we can do for the builders to help solve this problem.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rugen.
Thank you. A few of us have talked about different businesses coming into town, bringing a lot of work. That's, again, going to create a big problem. I don't know. I do agree that we need to come up with housing solutions for all levels of income. Build up, build out. But I do agree also that we need to get with the builders, see how we can incentivize them, and really take quick action on this, because these jobs are coming quickly. The population is growing quickly, and if we don't step up and do something immediately, it's gonna not be so good, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Savage.
What we need to do is we need to address the urban growth and development area, and not just at a citizen level, but at the local government level. It's, not to denigrate what you are as a citizen, but when you're a citizen, you're kind of petitioning your state assembly, where we need to contact about this because they've imposed this ring around Spokane until 2025. So within this term, you wouldn't be able to do anything, but you'd still be able to maybe kind of sway what they're talking about. And we need to get that released from the area, because what's that doing is it's artificially raising prices that's causing this housing, crisis with, no low income housing, and it's just leading to a lot of problems. So if we can uplift that kind of ring around Spokane, we can help everyone out, and I believe that's what will help Spokane out in that regards.
Thank you. Mr. Side.
We have limited space in the city as compared to, let's say, Spokane Valley, as compared to Coeur d'Alene, Cheney, all these places. So when you said that you basically are looking into the possibility of opening up some of the city property to develop, that's a wonderful idea. I hope it goes through, because that will allow, just more buildings. Okay, these single lots that you're talking about and stuff, different neighborhoods and stuff. This whole idea of maybe the mobile structured homes of some sort, that's not bad. But most of these things you guys have talked about, I would agree. So when it comes to the last person to comment, what am I supposed to say other than I agree with most of what you say? So, but the best thing I heard from Karen was this opening up the city. And then I think maybe making the codes a little bit easier, making the transfer, to make it easier for people to build. We're going to have the need. It's coming. There's no doubt about it. In fact, the need is already here. Population is going to grow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we will go to your closing statements. You each have 1 minute, and we will start with Mr. Martin.
Well, I'd like to talk to the citizens of Spokane here, and in particular, those people in my district. I am excited for this great opportunity. Let me come work for you. When we talk about a job description for city council, that description is represent you. And I promise that my doors will always be open, my phone will always be on, and my email I will always read. I am not doing this for the money, I'm not doing this for the prestige, and I am not doing this for a career. The only reason why I'm doing this, like I said before, is in my heart and my true belief to serve. And that's what I plan to do for those constituents of mine in the 3rd District, is I plan to serve you, and you tell me where you want me to go and what you would like me to do, and I am ready to work. I am ready to work hard. And let's make Spokane the most beautiful city here in the Inland Northwest. Let's attract businesses, let's attract tourism, and let's most of all attract a wonderful place to live. And I couldn't say more, but I'm going to be here for quite a while and raising my kids, and I'm looking forward to this, what the future brings.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rathbun.
I served our country for over 30 years as a navigator and a mission commander based at Fairchild. This allowed Melody, my wife, and I to raise 3 daughters here in Spokane in the West Central neighborhood. Shortly after I bought my first house, I got very deeply involved in the neighborhood when 2 little girls were abducted and later found dead. They went to the same school as my daughters. As a neighborhood, we founded the COPS program, and I continued to stay involved in the neighborhood for over 24 years in leadership positions on the West Central Community Center's Board of Directors and the Neighborhood Council. With those, we made progress by avoiding politics. The City Council needs this kind of leadership. This is what I have done, and this is what I will continue to do. And I want to thank the League of Women's Voters for being an active part of our democracy.
Thank you. Mr. Rugen.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone taking their time to listen to all 6 of us and our stance on different topics. Support is greatly appreciated. And if given your support, I do my very best to make you proud that you voted for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Savage.
I would just probably be the best representation for you people up here, because I'm not just blowing smoke when I'm going to meetings. I have all this stuff here that shows that I am reading, I am listening, I am learning, and I'm going to be there for you. I'm not going to try, and if I'm not, then I'm going to make it sure that you know why I'm not there, and not just some ethereal, oh, I'm not going to be there. And it kind of just, it may sound a little hokey to say, but it kind of goes back to what this country was built on. There's, if you aren't going to represent me, why are you taxing me, or why are we paying your budget or paying your salary? And that's the thing that I keep close to my heart is I see that, and I want to be an important representation for the citizens, and I don't believe sometimes that has been done correctly.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Side.
Yeah, some things I haven't really been able to say, and half of the things I'm going to say here is basically going to lose half of the votes, and the other half would be in favor. And then the next topic would be I'd lose the other half. So I'm happy that I paid the $467 filing fee just to get a lot of stuff off my chest, okay? Now, whether I win or not, at least in my book of life, I've had a chance to say something. Now, I am pro-God, I am pro-life, I am pro-gun, and I'm pro-non-sanctuary city, okay? Nobody's even addressed that issue. I'm actually pro-Trump. So there you go, I lost half of you right there. But I will make, everything I've done in my lifetime, I have been above average, and I can guarantee that. I care for people, okay? I'm actually pro-people, too. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stratton.
Thank you. When I ran for office 4 years ago, I took my late father's advice. And he said to me, if you want to know what people want, you need to go where they are. Since my first day in office, that's exactly what I've done. I've attended my neighborhood council meetings, and my mobile office has visited senior centers, libraries, and I'm even known to go to Waffles Plus and pour coffee to meet with constituents from the 3rd District. As a result, we've completed traffic calming projects in the district to slow down traffic and to keep pedestrians safe. We've begun the program to gravel roads or gravel alleys and pave roads. I did oppose the multi-housing projects in the Indian Trail neighborhood because that's what the neighborhood wanted. So all of this is about representing the people who elect you. I believe that I've done a good job. I believe that I've stuck to the basics, and I've tried to provide the best service to constituents as I absolutely could. It has been an honor to serve. I am proud to be part of this forum. Thank you. And I think she's cutting me off. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidates for District 3, Position 1 are Jeff Martin, Andy Rathman, Jeff Rugen, Christopher Savage, Ken Side, and Karen Stratton. Please join me in thanking these candidates for participating in this forum and for running. This concludes our primary election candidate forum for candidates running for City Council, District 3, Position 1. And just in case you joined us after the program began, here is a reminder on voting in the primary. You, of course, need to be registered. You can still do that. Register online by July 29th, 2019. Any mail-in or paper forms must be received in the elections office by July 29th. New this year is same-day voter registration. During the 8 days prior to Election Day, there will be 2 places where you may register in person: the Spokane County Elections Office on Gardner Avenue in Spokane, or Center Place out in Spokane Valley. Hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4 p.m., and then on Election Day, they will be open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. When you register, you will be provided a ballot. Registered voters will receive their mail-in ballots about 3 weeks prior to Election Day. Ballots must be postmarked or deposited in a conveniently located ballot box no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day. Ballots can also be dropped off at those voter service centers. For locations on those ballot boxes and voter service centers, or information about accessible voting units or other questions, you may contact the Spokane County Elections Office at spokanecounty.org/elections. Contact information for the candidates as well as a voter's guide can be found on the website at Spokane County Elections. Additional information about the candidates can be found on the League of Women Voters online voter guide, vote411.org. The League of Women Voters of the Spokane area is a nonpartisan political organization encouraging informed and active participation in government. influencing public policy through education and advocacy. We invite you to visit our website at lwvspokane.org for more information. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area, thank you to all of the candidates for their participation in this forum, and thank you to our viewing audience for your willingness to learn more about the candidates and their issues. We hope that this forum has helped you in making an informed decision when you cast your ballot by Tuesday, August 6, 2019. Thank you for joining us.